Hello again, everyone. I'm Dr. George Simon, and welcome to another edition of the new Character Matters program, the program where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that we have faced for several decades now, and that affects every aspect of our lives, from our world affairs to our community relations, and most especially our intimate relationships. Every aspect of our lives is related to the character issue. We once understood how important character was to a well-functioning, civilized, halfway decent society. We understood this, and we also understood what was necessary to help instill character and to encourage it, reinforce it, so that we could come to expect it. We've lost our way on this, and we're paying a very dear price. And today I want to continue a discussion about cultivating the capacity to truly love, which is what the 10 commandments of sound character development that I outline in my books Character Disturbance and discuss in great detail in my latest book, Essentials for the Journey, are all about. These time-tested axioms for developing wholesome character so that we can be emotionally healthy, psychologically healthy, healthy in character, and even spiritually healthy. These time-tested axioms have the potential to help make us all that we have it within us to be. And it all starts with what I call the first commandment, which has to do with overcoming our inherent egocentricity and appreciating not only the bigger picture, but the impact that we and our behavior have on everyone and everything else. Coming to care about that impact so that we can conduct ourselves in a manner that builds as opposed to destroys, that heals as opposed to wounds. That's what loving is largely about. And we have to learn how to do it, because loving is not just a sentiment. In fact, it's not merely a sentiment at all. It's a behavior, and it's the kind of sophisticated behavior that takes many people a lifetime to grasp. So the sooner that we all get about the serious business of developing our characters, the sooner we're actually prepared to function in a genuinely loving way in our relationships and within the society at large. I want to talk a little bit more today about why folks with narcissistic tendencies, folks with narcissistic personality disorders of various types, why they have such a problem with genuine love. And it largely has to do with the problems that they have with this first commandment of character. Now, right from the beginning, I need to stress again, and you'll hear me stress this over and over again, because there is so much inaccurate and inadequate information out there these days on narcissism. Everyone's an expert these days. And there is good information out there, but much of it is overgeneralized. So what I'm going to emphasize again, and you'll hear me emphasize time and time again, is that narcissism is a spectrum phenomenon. It varies as to type and degree. And it's a feature in many different personality types, not just narcissistic personality disorder. And even narcissistic personality disturbances are of various shades and types and degrees of severity. But narcissists regardless of their type or regardless of the seriousness of the narcissism, have trouble with this very first commandment. They have trouble growing out of our inherent egocentricity. As infants and as very, very young children, pre-verbal children, it is natural and it is normal for us to think the world revolves around us and that everything, every object that we see in our environment, everything we come into contact with, exists for our pleasure. Anyone that's had a young child in their arms who is at the oral stage of development knows that they're likely, as they're rubbing your arm, to take that arm, grasp it, and maybe even want to chew on it. This sounds a little funny, but anybody that's had a young child knows that this happens, because in a developing infant's mind, things exist for them. They haven't learned to differentiate yet between what is theirs and what is others. And they also haven't yet learned how to care about how they interact and whether or not something they're doing is negatively affecting someone or something else. So the very first step in developing character is coming to appreciate this. And this is a very delicate process that takes years. Now, I've said earlier that all narcissistic individuals, whatever their type or degree of severity, all narcissistic individuals have problems genuinely loving. We have to learn to love. Narcissists have trouble with this. Some don't want to learn. Some don't care to learn. And still others can't care to learn. There are so many things that can go wrong with an individual's embrace of this first commandment of character. Some of the things that can go wrong and inhibit a person's capacity to eventually be able to truly love. Some of the impediments are strictly biological. They're built into the person's innate traits. This is not something they have anything to do with. It just comes with the biological territory. That is a contributor. So some folks have difficulty caring, and they have greater difficulty learning to care. But other things get in the way too. Various types of trauma can really stunt our emotional, our psychological, and our character growth. But perhaps the greatest obstacle these days is the cultural climate within which most of us grow and develop. A cultural climate steeped in outrageous degrees of entitlement, permissiveness, relativism. So we're not only dissuaded from forging decent character and embracing the lessons of the very first commandment, but we're actually encouraged to form self-centered characters. And even more disturbing than that, in the culture, there are too many rewards for being of entirely selfish, heartless character. This has to change. But it can only change one way, and that is one heart at a time, beginning with our own, which is the very reason that I do all that I do and have written all the articles that I've written and the books that I have written. And why I do these podcasts. I may sound repetitive. I know that I am. But I've come to appreciate how much some things matter and how much in the greater scheme of things, some things don't really matter that much at all. Character matters. It always has. It always will. And it all starts with this very first and fundamental axiom of coming to appreciate the interconnectedness of all things, and that our very existence, and especially all of our choices and actions, has impact, and coming to care about the nature of that impact, and mindfully striving to make that impact constructive, growth fostering, harmony fostering, embracing that fundamental first axiom is the very beginning of developing the capacity to truly love, the only thing that can heal our troubled world. I'll have more to say about this on the next edition of the new Character Matters program. In the meantime, I invite you to avail yourself of all my writings, the ones free on the blog, and also available in all my books, especially my most recent one, Essentials for the Journey. So until next time, I thank you for tuning in. I'm Dr. George Simon. Take care.